the viewers, family members, them today, another beautiful day, although now with mixed feeling. First of all, the lead presenter, Fadima Savage, not able to date today because he getting one in Fambu, he lost one in Fambu. I thought today this early morning 9 they call him. Fambu they lost the very dear to now. It's Rogers. And we been go to another home, they go up and down. So when they send this word to her today, see that woman don't pass away, he find them very hard. It will be, and the emotion is such that go actually will do a very good job now. So you say we are lab scam last time, but we don't decide and everything what they do. And I tell also go thank you. I bring in somebody, but we can't introduce her. But this lady I let go here Ariana for nothing. And waiting don't make this bad somehow. Now the only one we don't left to the mommy and your mama, in the 80s now they go, they're 90s and of course the two sisters and then I waiting at Washington area with Sabi them, Mary Rogers and Yema Rogers, na community people that will Sabi them. So at a time like this, the whole community they grieve with them. They ask Papa God and Nabi say they give Ariana for nothing. Any mistake you do now this warrior, so they go forgive them. The mommy self we don't left, even though this is for be hard on them, but since he said they're Muslim, let it take so. By God power, we condolence with Fadima. I believe say the entire viewers team with her. Now, before I bring him a guest, we are in Pamude, this now fast Mondays. At times, if anybody don't do mistake, you ask your company Muslims there for forgive you. Anybody. There's an audio where they go out, we now me the maker as a result of encounter where I get with people, but we're not even going through that. What number will do just for apologize to not all we don't express concern. Until I say by God power, it's not going to be anymore. Perhaps it was a reaction on the spot. Sometimes we can do so. But what happens if you do bad, then bring it to your attention. Other than you argue, you make defense, just accept them. Right? I take good and I will beg you. There we go. What best time for bringing up like today when I lala to carry for we Muslim then these are the best time that because all the can ask God, let God sorry for we, let's about we. But all things they will be done to let it continue for guide me. So I ask for now understanding, forgiveness, so this don't happen anymore. Having said that, we get a lot of things there for discuss tonight, but which I'm bringing one of the finest people there, one of the finest intellectuals there in the community. One thing about this man, anytime we call on him, a family man, and instead of maybe Muslim the queen, I don't say you also look small, he come back, he can give you contribution to the community. So I want to bring her in first, tell her they will start up with the corner, update today. So I'm bringing my guest today, Mr. Salone. I got with an attorney within North Carolina. Mr. Salone, you want down here to the people there? So I'll do in order to this, sir.
Yes, sir. Good evening, members or listeners, and also to me host, Professor Kuruma. And let me also express my condolence to Ms. Fadima Savage, we are the co-host of this show. So I hope and pray that she is able to endure the strain and stress that bereavement always brings. And I hope whoever the deceased is or was, that God opened a good way for this person. As we Muslims, they always will say, we'll pray for them, because the dead, they not get much what they can do for we. Now we were there alive as far as my understanding of Islamic teachings goes. We were there alive, now we for pray for them so they can get good road at the life after. So with that, I hope we all will join, we will pray and wish that person there in soul not only to rest in peace, but whatever takes place after death, that we hope the good Lord will give him all the blessings that she had worked for in this life. And again, I name Mohammed Shilon. I'm coming from North Carolina, Raleigh, North Carolina. I'm an attorney. I've been in the business for a while. So I'm glad to be part of Professor Kutubu Kuruma team tonight for help discuss certain issues that I hope will be of importance to we Komo Salone and for non-Salonians as well. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Shilon. God bless you. Sister, we don't go, like you say, let go get Arijana for nothing. What you want to get an update on the corona? We ask the technical team for Chamo. Let we see where most of the. But this corona, Mr. Shilon, I go make you come. I get a very disturbing news. In fact, even in broadcast here, I think these are from the World Health, come that the African leaders them now they accuse them of extortion, meaning that they make fraudulent representation just for make money, and that look a bit serious. And this come from a very senior official in NCA. But in the meantime, I go and let the technical team put up the statistics. They will look at now. And in fact, Madagascar, they don't get their own way how they see they solve it. They don't get their own way. Other than trying for wait for the international community for them, they get their own way with the other. So technical team, if we get the statistics now, put up here for we back, so that we'll be able to look at discuss and then we'll bring in Mr. Shilon. Let's see where we go with this, the rise in this as for see Salone and get the capacity for fight, this. Because when you take into consideration the medical infrastructure and not anything where anybody can write home about, then we don't know whether they repress the figures then and all that. So we get the thing at the body. So Mr. Shilon, you are coming and let Rob Motpan, we all state now, and then like I said, you don't inject like we did not begin accuse the African leaders of extortion. So you get anything for her to this sir?
I believe you refer to, because I see a video, I don't know if not the same thing we talk about, where certain people then say they give them money. Is that what we're talking about?
Well, that's also the one, but this one they make a blanket, the head of the World Health Organization, they make a blanket. Then bring all the general. I think the other way they talk about, I think that the president of Tanzania, Naingudong, put out something like that. But this other way, me refer to where I make part of the broadcast today, that the entire African continent, they say they extort. In other words, they're making money out of this. And if not that the case, this is very bad. It's very troubling.
Indeed, it is very bad, because we always suspect that, because first when this whole COVID-19 starts, we never get any case of anyone who was infected. Then all of a sudden we begin to get cases coming in as a result of people coming from abroad. Then the most notable was Mr. Jallo, where then they say go France. When he went from America, a doctor in Australia, then say go France and stay there for a while, for a few days, he come back. Then he was put in quarantine. Then the next thing they know, they say he gets corona. And then when the testing show positive results, then subsequently it showed negative results. Then eventually they say he was fine. He did not have it in the first place. Right from that point on, my concern was, and this is where it seems to me running a government is serious business. It's always good to have the right people in the right place. And when I say the right people, I mean qualified people. Because what I noticed from your personal observation, even America at the time did not have the test and kit, or the testing kit, to conduct the testing necessary for determining if you get COVID-19 or not. Yet, some of the African countries then claim, say, they already had the testing kit and they were able to conduct testing to see if certain people had it. And all of a sudden, we'll begin to get statistics coming from everywhere that Sierra Leone had 1, then it went to 3, then it went to 4. But if history is any guide, we also had similar things when the Ebola started. It was clear that some of the African countries were inflating the number of infected cases only because the larger the number, the more appropriation you get in terms of money from the world organizations then. And simple as that may seem, credibility matters. Integrity matters. I think something as basic as that is what we must understand, our leaders should understand. So when you assign certain positions to certain people, you're dealing with the international community. No amount of money, not in the billions of dollars, can erase the bad name we could create if you give false, deliberate, misleading information. So now, I don't have any doubt in my mind. If history is any guide, the international organizations, they might be right that we are doing some fraudulent dealings in terms of getting, the funding with the CAM with respect to helping us with the developing nations. So it may very well be. For we within here, it's hard for dispute that, and it's hard for verify that. But we know, say, we people are capable of doing such a thing. Because everything to them is an opportunity to make money. They don't tend to take things seriously. They don't think national pride matters. They don't seem to think the interest of the people is important. And it's about time people get serious. So the only contribution I can make now, I cannot doubt the accusation, nor can I lend any credence to the allegation, because I have no factual basis to agree or disagree with them. But I have a hunch that a few African countries are engaged in such deceptive practices, because that happened with the Ebola funding.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for that. But yeah, I just want to give a quick rundown on this. For example, the new cases now we get 43, the one we confirmed now 505, and the one in isolation centers at 332. Then recovered, there's 141, deaths 32 in quarantine, 2,089, and out of quarantine 2,593. And then as they give them, by region, they don't give both the young win at 22, Bond, young at 13, Bombardier, young at 12, and lost all of this here, so they don't give the statistics. Tomorrow, like they say, the Ministry of Information and where they in charge of giving out the information, I don't can't talk say. Tomorrow, everybody for take a minute for recognize the world. The people that weigh the world, the caregivers around the world, that we all recognize them 11 o'clock tomorrow. a 1 minute silence. This just reminds me of the end of World War II, and then we November 11, 1940, something like that, where the world becomes silent. Let everybody, observe 1 minute silent. By God power, let we all do that tomorrow. But like you say again, main concern is let's not be another Ebola, scenario where people are coming for making money, because this is really, really serious. It is very serious. This report like this, so it comes directly from the World Health Institute. So you don't go even talk to that propaganda. That the big man they don't observe so that they tear and they do.
Mm-hmm.
So I think so that a warning bell and sent to the people and the African leaders need to understand say the Western world they know of all the activities and what they do. They see it because they get the intelligence people the way they out there. They monitor what they do. So perhaps you can finally let them say this way, this kind of a thing way the world health not put out. Let them take us seriously for let them get the message say they are being watched. Like I said, Madagascar say then get their own way out in the defense, then get their own way when the defense, which is well and good. So I mean, the no one begin the Goya for Goyanda, but in all we do, we don't still forget any exit strategy out of this city. But America, which I don't begin to observe that the president don't find ways and means for see if they will begin return to normalcy. I don't know if they follow the news in that direction. They hope say by summer, June, July, August, September, all things will go. Although then they get a problem with the medical people, they may not enter. But on the scale and balance, this whole thing are really bad off. So I don't know if you get anything we go add to this before we move to the next, segment. The next segment.
Well, for me, I think we need to start doing some original thinking for we own good. We can't be always waiting. We see other countries than they do. Yes, it's good for watch, because it seems to me even this thing about taking 1 minute silence or honor the frontline workers, this is only because, which is good. This is only because we're seeing this around the world, other countries, the developed countries do. But it would be nice if we could start thinking, coming up with some original thought process, not to always over the copy of Falamakata. So what were we going to do? So if America, France, England, if they were not praising and talking loftily of the frontline workers, then will it have ever crossed your mind with the Africans that these are important people, or do we, even if it does, do we have to wait until then people say it's okay before we do that? Because it's about time we can begin to think and act on just a matter of common sense and creativity and resourcefulness. Now, with respect the Madagascar issue, I understand there is a young Congolese doctor who actually, with the Madagascar, will come up with this. If I saw a video of him, and I think the World Health is giving Madagascar a tough time. They don't want to accept the medication when they come up with, because I don't think they even have vaccine. I don't think that Madagascar come up with. They say they get treatment by way of medication. And so that is out there because they are fighting with the World Health Organization with respect to whether they will be put to the test and to try to verify the efficacy or the effectiveness of this medication. But so far, I don't think it has had the acclaim that Madagascar wants it to have, which leads me to another kind of thought. It's time for the African countries or the AU to begin, because we see the pandemics there, then global diseases there, and we are part of the world. So instead of while we talk about common currency for Africa, we also simultaneously should be talking about common venture, such as research, joint research by the African countries. Because we know, and the irony of it all, we have individual Africans who were world-renowned researchers, just like Dr. David Nichol, whom I mentioned some time ago. He, not only was he the first African to graduate with top honors at Cambridge, but he was a world-renowned researcher, found some treatment for malaria. But that doesn't take us anywhere. With the knowledge that he had, what happened when they send him home, or when they go home, they go make a principal of the university. We're not to infill that at all. We're going to administrative work down there. The man in genius was to conduct research and come up with solutions. So I'm just simply saying Madagascar don't come up with a young, but I wish the African countries can keep it. Because we always can't just depend as if we don't exist. Every time something can affect the world, we'll get for wait and see what in the world can do for we. It's about time we begin for help for determine we own destiny if we want to be taken seriously.
Thank you. Now, for wrap-up discussion on this corner object, one lady, Vicky, it say you get 150 patients of this COVID treatment at Phoebe College. This is not a very disturbing report. And by what they get now, they say all of them, they are positive. If that not the case, this is very difficult now. So I don't know how the government will able to combat this. And besides, when you take into account the medical infrastructure, not one that we're strong enough to be able for sustain, for sustain this. So I think that only by God you massive number, because we really don't have it. I mean, how dilapidated, with medical, how they call them. If a doctor says I don't die now out of this, now Salone, the doctor.
Yeah,
I don't know if you hear about the doctor, don't die.
Yes, I read about that.
Yeah, all of this. So what should they do? This time will be the wrap up. Which I want possibly to be, and then see we will welcome, people then we get people when you come in. Then if we get a commercial break, we check out, they get go to the next. I think we really like the main topic today. So now just take 2-3 minutes commercial break, and then come back. We welcome people there. Back to you guys then at the studio.
Cotton Tree Pharmacy is your new trusted provider of pharmacy services in Sierra Leone. You can count on Cotton Tree Pharmacy for genuine quality brand name and generic medicines. Guaranteed refills for prescriptions issued by doctors in Sierra Leone or abroad. Door-to-door medication delivery service in Freetown and beyond. Free health education. Have you heard about our Diaspora Medicine Connect? With Cotton Tree Pharmacy's Diaspora Medicine Connect, anyone can pay for your prescription online. Bring your prescription to 17 Pademba Road. Collect an invoice. Send your invoice to your sponsor in the diaspora. Your sponsor pays for your prescription online. We deliver your medication to you. For quality prescription and medications, visit Cotton Tree Pharmacy at 17 Pademba Road in Freetown. Have questions? Call our pharmacist on WhatsApp at 030-611-664 or visit our website at www.cottontreemedicalgroup.com. Come to Cotton Tree Pharmacy. We are ready to fill your next prescription.
Why do a website when you can create an app for your business for free? Yes, with TAV App Maker, you can make an app as easy as pie. It only takes a few minutes. Simply choose a design template you like, add the features you want, and once you are happy with the results, publish it to Google Play and Apple Store. so your clients can download your app. Go to TAVAppmaker.com and create your free app today.
Into social media review with Fatima Savage and Kuchukoma. Unfortunately, Fatima is bereaved. She cannot be here. So standing in tonight with distinguished attorney, Mr. Mohammed Shilon. Now, we can go to the next item where in fact then the focus for today. We're very serious. They deal with constitutional issues. We also, in the process where we'll talk about whether, in fact, the parliament will take back the state of emergency. We'll talk about the fact, what is this in a society where is the constitution when if you didn't have a society where now a state of emergency in any day. So where the role of the constitution, and then we will wrap up with a look at how we will get an effective judiciary where in a society where you get a tripartite system of governance, where all are equal branches and waiting at the role where the judiciary will play for make sure say the constitutional liberties them are guaranteed, because everybody knows say the judiciary and any act as a bastion of constitutional liberties. Luckily, we take a very long and that today we will help you. So if all else fails, if all else fails in society, the judiciary not fulfilled, because at the end of the day, now we already follow. Now they follow. If we also get a problem with the government, we get a problem with this, we get a problem, we have to go to court. But if we're not able to rely on the judiciary, we get big trouble. As we go to discuss this, after I don't discuss the letter with the Attorney General writes, I go and let Mr. Shilon talk about that. Then we'll open the line even as we continue the discussion. In also tell the Attorney General writes a letter. Technical team, please do put up that letter as we talk about it, so the people will read that. The letter with the Attorney General writes, some people they say it look a bit, troubling. The letter tough. And they warn people then, if Naya, you want to call and say, where you obstruct justice in America, meaning that they want anybody not for interfere in the investigative works of the police, the way they do their investigations there. And if you do, they talk about the fact say an offense will punishable with life imprisonment. This is what the Attorney General in letter they say as soon as they see, and when they see it they go small, soon as they go with that. A lot of people they not express concern, say, they not see the punishment if the crime. I mean, life imprisonment for when you interfere with police officers in the course of criminal investigation. Of course, interfering with them criminal investigation or investigations of any other really good now. What you do? You obstruct justice, and when you obstruct justice, as the lawyer will come explain, now also you pervert them, meaning that they're not able to get to the truth. That means there's a common feeling, common sense say, it will better let the guilty person go free than the innocent get suffer. So with that preamble, I want to let we distinguish Attorney Kami, let you look at this letter, let you your opinion, and let we all see. Then you guys, if we're on the line, lines are open. As soon as the attorney don't talk, then we're going to ask questions, even as we proceed. Mr. Attorney, welcome, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, I am troubled by the third paragraph of the Attorney General letter also. And for a variety of reasons. At one point, the members of the public are hereby informed that interference with police officers in the course of criminal investigations is unlawful and could, not shall, and could constitute an offense of perverting the cause of justice. Well, another try for question the learned Attorney General in wisdom, but I take exception to the way this paragraph is written. Is it or is it not an offense? If it is, why say it could constitute? Why not say it is an offense or shall constitute? Because could creates doubt. It may or may not. That's one. Two, just look at, because in America here, we get what you call proportionality. Obstructing an officer in the performance of in duty. Of course, here the Attorney General say criminal investigation. I would not have said that. I would have said in performance of in duty, because the police does not necessarily always conduct criminal investigation. There are times when they are also engaged in civil actions, enforcement, in civil enforcement. So is it okay to obstruct the officer if they perform in duty civilly, only when it becomes a criminal investigation that a crime is being committed? I don't think that's what the Attorney General had in mind, but that's the way, that's the conclusion one can reasonably arrive at by reading the letter. The other problem is, like I said, proportionality. Let us stretch your mind a little bit. What sort of obstruction, short of killing, because the Attorney General in letter vague, so we have to extrapolate or draw several conclusions. But a person will get life imprisonment for obstructing a police officer. What constitutes obstruction? It's another issue. If the police come na my house for arrest my brother, and I say, hey, officer, what did my brother do? Why would I do? I can go down. Am I obstructing? And if I'm obstructing because I question them, would that justify life imprisonment? For simply because obstruction, in the way it is, the Attorney General writer is so vague. If it were here, that if there is such a law, if it is so loosely written, as the Attorney General in paragraph seemed to indicate, it will be stricken for constitutional vagueness, because too many interpretations and the punishment does not fit the crime. You don't give anybody life imprisonment. You don't even make it a felony. And that's another thing with the laws in Sierra Leone. They don't seem to categorize the laws in terms of misdemeanor and felonies. You know, felonies which are more serious offenses. So they just make pronouncement, this act will constitute an offense, therefore you get 5 years, 10 years. But it would be wise for them to start categorizing their offenses. Things like speeding, traffic offenses, you know, simple assault, stuff like that. They can make a category of misdemeanor. And misdemeanor, sometimes you can, the category of the distinction between a misdemeanor and a felony could simply be that of the length of time you can be sentenced to jail or imprisonment for the offense. Here in North Carolina, any offense that could land you in prison or in jail or confinement for more than 2 years is considered a felony. And of course, we have constitutional safeguards. Therefore, if that person they not get a lawyer, the state has to appoint a lawyer, because this person in constitutional right in freedom can be taken away from him. So the system wants to make sure he is well represented. So that's the main thing. So again, the people then will get powers such as Chief Justice, Attorney General. These are very powerful positions. They can destroy lives, and they can destroy a country with pronouncements. So even when the politicians are getting upset, I think the AG, the Attorney General, the Chief Justice, and others should be the level-headed people for make measured statements and make sure, say, if one commits a crime, the punishment doesn't become excessive, that the punishment fits the crime. But nowhere in the world will obstructing a police officer in the performance of his duties. And then again, this is the thing. There are all sorts of things wrong with that letter there. Because you say, when they are conducting a criminal investigation, well, I think it should be more worded than that. When they are conducting a lawful criminal investigation, because the activity, the police's activity must be lawful. Because if then they conduct an extraterritorial type of activity, underhanded activity, that will not be a lawful conduct, and therefore should not be an offense. And again, once upon a time when I appear on this show, this is the problem. All these are constitutional issues. Back home, they use the word due process. Most of them, I don't think they even know what it means. So, because the way the Constitution of Sierra Leone is written, they say, even if you violate the person in constitutional right, that cannot be used as a defense. It can only be a case of first instance when you go all the way to the Supreme Court. Only the Supreme Court has original jurisdiction. That's happening backwards. One should be able to contest the constitutionality of an arrest from the beginning. From magistrate court, you should be able to contest whether your constitutional right is being violated. They should not say that issue cannot be raised until way up to the Supreme Court. But the way the Constitution is written right now, they say only the Supreme Court of Sierra Leone shall have original jurisdiction. And cases don't begin at the Supreme Court unless it involves matters of chiefdoms having some kind of legal dispute, or cities having legal dispute, or districts having. That's when we don't say cases then originally start at the Supreme Court in Sierra Leone. But until then, for the ordinary citizen, you not get access to the Supreme Court. The first court you go appear, the magistrate court. And I think, in my view, I think the lawyers, they end up for contest the right of the police or the system for say you cannot raise a constitutional issue until you get to the police, to the Supreme Court. That's the role of lawyers. Test the system, argue, make legal points. And also, the basic thing when they teach we about government, they say there are three arms of government: the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. And then the basic thing also when they teach we, they say, oh, the legislature, which is parliament, they make laws. But what people don't realize, the courts make laws too. So making laws is not an exclusive matter of parliament. When the court makes a decision, like the Supreme Court, it becomes law of the land. So young lawyers, older lawyers, then can use constitutional challenges to some of the practices of law enforcement because it's for the good of everybody. But as far as the letter of the AG, I will hope the AG will listen to some of us who have read that letter there and probably elaborate on the letter, what you mean by that third paragraph there, for say you could get life imprisonment. So in my judgment, there is nothing a person can do short of killing or trying to kill a police officer that should warrant a life imprisonment. Even that should not warrant life imprisonment. So I think it's grossly unreasonable, and I think it's grossly unconstitutional if there is such a law, by their own standard.
Thank you for such brilliant, expose. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The lines are open. We can look at the next thing. All this today line because the whole of this thing on our law we discuss. I want we talk about the parliament. See, don't make say now mistake could be do so they take back the carte blanche authority will be the president will be passed state of emergency will not put safeguards there because what the guys did, they may not pass emergency. In other words, they put the card before the horse, then they expect the president for go back. But me, say these African leaders in general, but particularly under the president. So banking on your legalese, one know whether if the parliament can take back what they may give the president and a what if assuming they tell us say want take back that thing the president of we have to go from there. So how we navigate through safe around this?
Well, first of all, as a practical matter, I don't think they're going to be able to take it back. I'll be very surprised if the president allowed them to take it back because then go through the normal process, then willingly relinquish the parliamentary authority to the president, then basically delegate their responsibility to the president. Or if they not delegate that responsibility, they abdicate their responsibility. So now I'll be very surprised if the president does that. But let's say if the only legal recourse they might have, and it depends on the structure of the judicial system back home. Because the problem I see back home, I think the lawyers there are not challenging some of the issues. Okay, like just this issue. Parliament can do a test case if they want to establish solid law in the country. Parliament can demand and file a case demanding them power back and cite whatever authority worldwide or within Sierra Leone, any legal precedent that it can be done. Both sides, the government could say, no, we're not to give, the government meaning the president, the executive, then can decide, say, well, no, we're not to do it. Then SEP can get the attorney general. And this is another thing. People have to realize that the attorney general, and this is another thing where the English people are not teach we, and we don't see things say necessary. The attorney general is not the president's lawyer. The attorney general is the people's lawyer. Okay, even though he's part of the cabinet, I've always wondered from a political standpoint, in fact, if attorney general was statewide, not America and most states, attorney general's offices are independent.
Okay, that punctuates you small. Inject something that well, I think expand on. Yeah. There's a school of thought out there. In line of your argument also, one lady, separate, establish an office, then establish an office of Minister for Justice Affairs or Minister of Justice, and then they get the Attorney General in office, let the Attorney General solely concentrate on, running the Justice Department, the coordinator. So in other words, they want to try to see if the office of the Attorney General in office could be independent of the judiciary. But then, now, how on earth in a representative democracy, the office of Attorney General will be independent? How that will run independent of the executive? This is where how will this happen?
Okay, we'll therefore distinguish You know, this is the good thing about the American system.
Yeah.
Because the American system, you know, they get overlapping legal system, the states and the federal. Okay, so like now on the federal level, the Attorney General is part of the presidenting team. But in almost every state, the office of the Attorney General is independent of the governor, who is head of the state. Okay, attorneys general are always either elected independently, so they are answerable to no one but to the people, of course, and then the state bar. Therefore, they don't have to do what the governor tells them to do because they are not beholden to the governor. In North Carolina, that's the way it is. I believe in New York, in Maryland, everywhere, that the office of the Attorney General is independent of the governor's office. So, and these are democratic states. So democracy calls for creativity, invention. So this is how the white people, they left and give way. This is how the Englishman left and give way. But then in those days, there was integrity in the system. You know, people respected norms and practices. But if we still say that system did not work for we, this is what they talk about, where they talk about, we will be creative. What do we bring into the democratic system where we get? I mean, there's no one size fits all in terms of democracy. Like Americans will say, it's different stroke for different folks. So maybe we own system, we can look at different countries. The American system, just as I just described, based upon the state practices, you know, or an attorney general is appointed and cannot be fired by the president, so he or she cannot be called Minister of Justice, because I know the history of that Minister of Justice position there, how it was created, by whom it was created in Sierra Leone, and why there used to be no Minister of Justice. So it was created by someone who wanted the position, who had the influence in the government at the time, and who ended up getting it. I will leave it at that. But it was not created because it was going to serve any useful purpose in terms of the country's well-being. So it's not a practical position. That position should not be part of the president in cabinet, known with propensity for corruption, known with propensity for interference with cases, we meaning back home and Australia. So my suggestion would be, I mean, there are lots of ways. One way could be it becomes an elected office. That sounds strange, but it's being done here. And this is a very sophisticated system and it works, you know, that so we don't have to practice law exactly the way we inherit them. We have to modify certain things to fit with current conditions. This is the thing. What I try to tell people, if there was ever a country that should have done anything exactly how the Englishman did do them, that country should have been or would have been America. People tend to forget that the founding fathers, they didn't come from Freetown.
I know.
They didn't come from Penadugu district or Bombali district. Who came from it? They came from England. And the 13 original American colonies were ruled by the laws, the common laws of England.
Oh, sure. Oh, sure.
You see? But even those people, because of the geographic location and because of the desire for get out of the almost absolute power of the king or the monarch, they decided they would introduce a different system.
Oh, yeah.
That is unlike what they just came out of. So that's why, by their own creativity, they come up with this system of government, where to this day has become an envy of the world.
Of course. No question.
See? So we are capable of doing something that will be worthy of helping ourselves. But if we always have to look at other people in your system, they teach us all these things so we can go and modify things and do on the way for a fit way. Because laws apply differently in different countries. America, they get one official language. England get one official language, that's English. Okay? And not only official language, but that's the common spoken language.
Oh, yeah.
But when you get Nigeria, you get Sierra Leone, you get Gambia, you get Ghana. I mean, you're talking about hundreds, if not thousands of dialects, you know, and customary laws that that overlap. What are we waiting for? Are we waiting for the Englishmen? They've done their best for us, and then they gave us independence. It's like running a relay, a race. When the baton is given to you, you don't turn around and go where the man started the race. You forge ahead. But what we have done, we have not forged ahead. When we get independence, what do? First, we take the baton, we map, begin look. Then people begin say, hey, you know the run, you know the run. Then you begin running in the opposite direction. That's why after 59 years, what do we have to show for everything with the white man left with? Hardly anything. Because we didn't forge ahead. So can we take it from here now and start realizing that there is no future for us? We'll always be stretching our hands. Like I said, the great Bob Marley said, in the midst of water, the fool is thirsty. How can a country with 7 million people, by today's population growth, that's nothing. With as much mineral resources, agricultural resources, we're still substantially poor. There's no excuse for that.
Absolutely not.
You know, Sierra Leone is at that point because we all claim say we learn all this book, we get all these PhDs, we get all this. Now it's time for them to show themselves. The PhDs and the master's degrees, come on, show yourselves. Let people stop for sleep, go to bed hungry, or sleep in the street. That make we don't learn book. If I were to go home to Sierra Leone today, the Englishman said talk is cheap. That's true. And American man say, put your money where your mouth is. I mean, so if I were to go to Sierra Leone and I had any positions in my line of work, I like for people to tell me, Mr. Shino, you will make all this big talk. Let's see what you can do. Show me what you got. This is in the basketball language. This is what the basketball players say. Show me what you got. So it's time for us to start showing our people what we got. The certificate on the wall is not enough. It's what you can do. You know, it's about time. All the lofty praise, the this and that. No, the taste of the pudding lies in the eating. Let's taste the pudding and see what it tastes like. It may not have any taste after all, despite the looks of it. So it's about time. So going back to what the original thing, we can create a system if we don't get too full of ourselves. Because like I say in one of the broadcasts, when then the last amendment we then do under Justice Cowan, where I think I think I don't know if Nabi Chijankaba was in power at the time. Oh no, it was under Ernest Koroma. They set up a committee where there was
Constitution Review Committee,
yeah, where Justice Cowan for head.
Cowan,
And I have asked, I guarantee you, nobody in that committee, with all due respect to the justice himself, who had taken a single cause in constitutional law.
We're so ironic.
I mean, these guys, are they kidding? First of all, you don't write a constitution anywhere the epicenter for constitution is the United States of America. This is where it all began. So if you're serious about doing a constitution, you better get some talent from the United States, be it Australian or American. But if you don't have that on your team, you are not serious. That's what I can say.
Thank you. Thank you, big boss. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As we discuss, like I said, the line up, last week we discussed the discussion. What you allow do? I want to discuss in a country where they under martial law, where does the nation in constitution stand? Say stand.
Well, there is no constitution. If there is martial law suspends the constitution, usually because there will be a contradiction. Because to impose martial law, you have to suspend the constitution. It almost reminded me of the old British history. Once upon a time, I think Britain has only had one coup.
Yeah,
Oliver Cromwell.
Oliver Cromwell, yeah.
And then he established what you call the Rump Parliament.
Yeah.
But that was for a brief period of time. But once the military steps in, all constitutional safeguards are out of the window when martial law is imposed. Those two don't run mutually, exclusively. They don't.
And I want to believe, see, as we talk about that, we also we therefore entertain the fear of the fact, say, constitutional liberties will be in abeyance with the suspension of a constitutional rule. We're not even talking of constitutional liberties now, because everything then becomes, martial law. It is one guy who decides everything,
yes.
And that also don't forget, and an effect on how the courts they run. And like when you conclude now, the courts or the judicial system now are the bastion of the constitutional liberties there. And so, in a place where the constitution has been suspended, and in place now the martial law, so that it forget chilling effect on human rights and constitutional liberties. Is that not?
Yes. What we also need to realize, every laws that are made in every country, it's a universal code of conduct or practice that you cannot violate. You allow for be consistent. For example, they have a law called Convention Against Torture. Torture, no country for pass any law will justify torture because it's a violation of international law. It violates the fundamental liberty of an individual. So, like you be the say just now, one thing we can suggest in Australia, if the Attorney General forgive the Attorney General independence, let it get a term. Once he's appointed, he can operate independent. It's just like this. The best example I can give is the chairman of the Federal Reserve in the United States. He gets appointed by the president, but the president cannot fire him. And he doesn't have to act by the whim of the president. He gets for making your independent judgments. And there may be times when in own judgment or in decision runs contrary to the president's. But because of the fact that the president cannot fire him, he's at ease and at liberty for make decisions that are good for the country. So Attorney General could be the same situation. A government comes in, you appoint a president, and you appoint an Attorney General, you stuck with him for 5 years, and he doesn't have to charge someone with treason if he doesn't feel like it. He doesn't have to charge he doesn't have to engage in political prosecution. But now, the way things are back home, the Attorney General basically works for the President of Sierra Leone. So it's hard for him to get that degree of independence the way he needs. So these are some of the things me to suggest. Say we need for try for get some workable solutions. We police the need for get more protection. They need to get more ability for enforce court orders, but they also need to be better trained for make sure say they don't abuse people right or people are not because I've seen Sierra Leone people and the chase policeman run them down. We also see situation where policeman and the beat people them. These things should not happen. You know, and my thing to brothers them and sisters they want to run government. Running a government is heavy lifting. It's not an easy task. So everybody they run, go home, they want to go to parliament, they want this and that. Yeah. But there is more to it than that. So it's a tough job. This is not just job that way you to go and take them for the fancy or the fancifulness of it. No. These are serious jobs. I think say everybody will kind of power. If you make just even if a baby step forward, we will make progress. But now the way things are, it's almost impossible to make any progress whatsoever. So my thing is, as a lawyer, I would hope when offenses are committed, that the Chief Justice and the Attorney General don't get so carried away as to say people in for lost their liberty for life because they obstruct a police officer. You know, I think they really need to revisit the laws of that country there and make sure, say, poor people not suffer the brunt of unfairness or injustice.
Again, I say the line open now. We can go to the last part of this today. The last thing, and that's we talk about the fact. See, to the first call. Then I can introduce the last topic. Caller, good evening. This is the social media review with Farima Savage and Tumukoma. Who's the call from, please? And what's your name?
Massacoy John Massacoy calling from Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, welcome to the show. I mean, what's the issue? What's the question, sir?
The question before I ask, I want to thank Mr. Mohammed for the elite explanation and education way they're doing at the line today. And I want to thank one of the hosts for this opportunity I want to deal with all. But some of the things that way he points out, I 100% agree with him. But some I guess a little problem with is when we have landed people as such as himself, and even as you too, Mr. Kutubu, but we know all the problems of Sierra Leone, and we sabi for talk about them all. But we are all still sitting here in the U.S. or in Europe. What is our participation? Who are we expecting to go change those things that we know that we prescribe to? If we all did with my own country, but the system is so bad, they go anywhere. We're all there. So how do we do anything? Or who are we expecting to do it if we don't make that sacrifice to go there and be directly involved? That's one of my questions. And secondly, the second question is, the biggest problem at Sierra Leone is we are lack the thing where they call integrity, patriotism, and nationalism. We don't have that as people. Until we can learn how to cultivate those and nurture them as a people, this is not the continuity of life we will just get for continue for they explain all time. So I think that those are the area where we really need for the focus on them program they have for educate with folks them around the world about the importance of loyalism, which is to state, not party, and patriotism to nation, not party, and love amongst ourselves. So I hope someday when I will create a program which is really talking about those things, because those are the things we need for all other things to fall in place. If a country not get love for one another, people that not love one another, which still is 60? If we are not patriotic, which building where you go build will not go born? If we are not loyal to the nation, what can you put there that will succeed? So I think we need to refocus a little bit more on educating our population, but more so we within the diaspora, because we are more corrupt than even the people in Sierra Leone. So thank you for allowing me.
No, you want to address that small before we go to the final topic? You address that, sir?
Well, I think he has a point. The gentleman has a point, but maybe we need to make some slight distinction here. Not all of us, or not even most of us who are here because of greed, because of not wanting to go home, because not wanting to help. The truth of the matter is, a significant number of the people who are within the power structure are not interested in getting the requisite qualified people to come and join the team for do something good for the country. It may surprise you that there are lots of people, particularly in my field, who make offers to the Sierra Leone government to assist them in coming up with ideas and trying to work. Once upon a time, I formed an organization of Sierra Leonean lawyers in the United States. There were about 40 of us nationwide in the US. From here to from North Carolina to California to Alabama to New Jersey to New York to Mississippi. I can even name some of the people from each one of the states I just mentioned. Alabama, Georgia. I mean, very well qualified, able-bodied people. We try to coalesce to work in conjunction with the Sierra Leone Bar Association. They had no interest in working with us. We never could do any joint anything. These guys were just not interested in anything that we felt were of interest to the country. So even when it comes to even qualifications, you would think we can put our heads together and be able to come up with solutions. Here we are in the United States, we're given all this talent. Why do you think America is as blessed? Because all this talents come from abroad and utilize all the talent here. Because you get countries like Sierra Leone, we need the talent then they say we don't want it. You know? Now, anybody with any degree of common sense knows, say, you can't put Sierra Leone at the same level with America on anything. But yet, the Sierra Leoneans, they think, say, they're number one in the world. The Sierra Leone man will tell you, say, oh, American law not as good as Salone law. Some stupid things there, like that. Instead of taking qualified people in for help for developing systems so we can move forward, you know? So the young man will just ask, say, why people are not to go home. It's not like people are not going home. There are lots of people who want to go home and make a difference. And then sometimes when you go home and you try to do the right things, you become victimized because they're not interested in doing the right thing.
Right, thank you.
You know?
Thank you so much. I'll take one more call before we go to the final item today. Caller, what's your name? What's your call from? Good evening. Welcome to the social media review for the Masavi Kuchukoma. Caller, please. Hello, caller. What's your name? What's your call from, please? All right, I think say we don't lose the caller. We go to the final take for tonight. And this they talk about, if we talk of a society where everybody get to play a role in a socio-economic, political, and cultural emancipation. We get forget structures there, systems and everything in place. When all is said and done, that all this can argue. For society of intelligent people, society of people, then we believe say.
Are they on? Hello.
Yeah. What's the call from? What's your name, please?
Okay, this now Umaru, the call from Switzerland.
Okay, welcome.
I just give me your opinion. First of all, before ever I talk anything, I'm very 100% accept within the lawyer talk. We get people away educated, talented people of Sierra Leone that are in the diaspora. Then people that don't Canada, they don't learn the Western way. They really go contribute. But believe in me, when them people that left, they return back home. All them dreams, politicians, they kill them dreams, Politicians, they take almost everything away from them. Then they even find out, then they even say and say, not necessary. Why make we return, So you see, this panic, now the politicians don't create for the diaspora, the educated people, and now that some are even afraid of going back because you don't you live your life, now you on corner, but you want to do a change, you don't want to let the change left within you. You decide for move. At least for go help young people, that when you reach to young people, a frustration you get, Because one of the good example, Lawyer Gabidon, Lawyer Gabidon, once after watching of a program where they talk in the England, he's studying, but they see the left Lawyer Gabidon the way now one of the most talented lawyers there. Then they left and they go out some unnecessary spend money on foreign lawyers for opinion or other things that way before. So even we lawyers they undergo handle them, As he say, the government therefore they encourage we lawyers the way don't they out, we don't study at least for go, let them return and see where how they go contribute to the national development. Okay. Then now to this injustice, everything when me see and say the problem all now the manner at which we people share the national cake. I think say this now the thing this way the government get for look into and coming 2023, let we the Sierra Leone and the civil society at least let they would draft at least a national plan. A national plan will go up for everybody when that any government we can use this national plan and let they able try at least for separate the Minister of Justice and the Attorney General in your office. At least that will go help in a lot of way. But other than that, everything has been politicized. So now me thing and I for say, let me make a call at least. Let me give me your opinion. Thank you very much.
Mr. Shino, hold on that. Not the last call. Hold this call here, so they want to go to the next topic, and they will wrap up. Hopefully, we just have about 10-15 minutes on that. They can sum up with all of them here with them. So I want to note and down. What is the matter? That's the other call. What is the other call? You know that also.
Hello.
And then we go to the last topic, and then we'll come back. Caller, what's your name? Good evening. What's the call from? Please.
Are the call? Hello.
Yes. Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, you know the line.
You hear me?
We hear you. Go ahead and talk.
Okay, I call from New York. My name is Sanusi. The most important thing is Salone where they go on. The whole entire system is totally broken. If you now watch the way of election in that country, general election, there's no primary. And when no primary, the people didn't know that they vote for president. We forget primary. We get Boku tribes there when they are them party there. We qualify. Creoman na Salonian, Probeman na Salonian, Shabro, Loco, the all the Salonian. They all belong to all the party there. They all get right for come out as a primary candidate. For many people, they pick who that they go want for me the presidential candidate. But what we should look now, this party they just get the executive, they pick somebody. But you look now like a mafia when they run the country. We underscore maybe in the power, where it win all in party then I bring out the family. Same thing, Madam Bio, all in both school, both Kenema friends, they bring come back to parliament, the cabinet. But when you look the member of parliament, them back again, the people who they just speak, then they tell themselves, when I oppose this, when I oppose any two government, they say, next election, we'll give you symbol. They don't do for let Krioma go on primary na the east. For represent any part of the east, na parliament. It might be said that it change the people them at that area there. Look, all the people who don't represent the people that they present. What did they ever do for their country, for the people there? Nothing. Because they pick themselves and run the country like a mafia way. Nobody not able to say nothing to them. So tell me, how the country will go to no one primary? So make them pick who they want. So if we not try for change that system, they will try for begin to bring primary come. So many people they pick who they want at the primary, because if the Krioma no sabi self talk Mende, it must get Mende man campaign manager or campaign for us. Where the people will listen and understand what this man they talk to them, where they can end up say this man it can be with next leader for we. All that tribal problem will solve. All that tribal problem will solve. Because why? If the APC bring Krioma as leader, SLP will bring Timiniman as leader, now for be president. All that tribal will solve, because the people are them pick who they want. But now they pick the president, then they go vote, then they tell themselves vote for the symbol we see. Vote for red, vote for palm tree. When you look, you go to all the villages, some of them there. You go show by the beyond picture. They no Sabiam, they no see one day. You go to the north, take and score my picture, all of them. They go look if they not Sabiam one day. Look, all the general election we don't pass. Look, it all just pass this time. Kamunga not ever go campaign at the south or the east. No Sabiam, they don't see. Same people that be not campaign at the north. They just campaign at the east, west, and Freetown. At the same time again, they campaign at the north and Freetown. So how things will change?
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Udon. Okay. Thank you so much. I can't say the last, Mr. Sheila, what you will do? In fact, the last topic we for discuss, we get for do the judiciary, but we'll hold out that offer. Let's say the last 2 years so. We'll say this last 2 years, what thing will happen, and then you will sum up by making sure that you address all the questions that will be not come. So the notes them that then will be your closing remarks. So let's say this last 2 weeks, can call out, who's the call for me, which name, please?
Hello, this now RGP, I call from London.
Yeah.
Yeah, me contribution wangi. Me the only thing where I talk, all this one I talk na ya, na theory they talk every year, every government who come, people they can already they talk, all man they kind they talk. This all one they talk, me I know that it makes sense, because all that they talk, so the people are not they change the country. The only contribution me get was letting the British and go rule again. And then go rule we. Because this the world die. That's not change that country. I'm telling you. It's only two party, APC and SLPP. So it's nothing changed. So if the white man not go rule we back, so we all die. Salone not get for change. Now the same thing no more. So this me I not see say what you na the lose kind of radio they talk about this, they talk about that. All is a waste of time. Salone not get for change. If was white man not go rule we back, Salone not get for change. Me I tell you this for fact till all die. Salone not get for change. 7,500,000 people. We are able to feed them. We will not get all kind of that country there. But this is a really shameful self. Serious. Look what I read yesterday. They say they will pay people where they go look after people who get corona. They never pay them. Who's can say Putinani? Eh? Me that I stop no more. I just tell now almost tell no waste no time. All this now waste time, you know. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'll look to the last caller before Mr. Shilo begin address the entire soon. Caller, what's your name? What's the call for, please?
Yeah, Mr. Kutubu, good evening. I name Abi. I call for Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, first I want to say thank you very much to Mr. Shilon on the topic we touch on tonight. For we, the young one in Sierra Leone, we don't know much about the history and the law system. We do learn a lot. But then again, I want to go back to what he said, the organization with them informed with the lawyers them. The only way, that was a very good way for let them bridge the transition. If they get an organization and with one day with the Salone ready for listen to, then they build a relationship there, then they go able to go and help out. And also we also get to Sierra Leone Nurses Association America, where I try for join, but then I ask exactly what thing they do. So they let it deal with the nurses and directly in Sierra Leone instead, and they help small organizations and hospitals and directly. I think the biggest problem is people in Sierra Leone, they see people from the diaspora as we not threats to them, failing to realize we all are Sierra Leoneans. If some of we got give opportunity for come abroad and go school, I believe say that's a way for giving back. Like America, they always teach we picking them, give back, give back, give back. But Sierra Leone, not they give you the opportunity for let we give back. You go for do the simple non-profit, they will frustrate you. That's the thing. And until the people then, because they say government, yes, the government is a big deal, but until the regular Salone person able to understand, say, this person where they come, also he come out, he get job, he gets everything. If he left Ghana for real interest, and then we embrace them, then we embrace the knowledge and the skills that they carry with, we're not able to progress. Because we they say the government, but then we look at what in the regular Salone man they do. Like, example video where they all over social media where they say for give money to people them for the lockdown. So another people form their own ring where you can and give you go there and take some. That ain't not to government. Let's just be honest here. If government don't give money, say una give people them, and not in a government and again. Now the regular Salone person. Because I know say one party lady and say, oh, the woman name Moon and a teacher. So not to everything at the government get their own fault, but the regular Salone people too get their own fault. They got to be willing for accept change. They got to be willing for embrace we. You going abroad not make you a different person or being a threat. And if different organizations in the form abroad, they try to work with people in Australia for build a bridge. They say it will be easier for transition. But if people back home not ready for help, then what you go do? Because we got a lot of professionals there outside. People that don't go to school, lawyers, them, doctors, them, teachers, them, different backgrounds. Salone a really small country where we for able to go and help and develop as Sierra Leoneans. But the regular Salone man don't feel say you for go abroad can't land, you can't help them, then take you as a threat. So that's one of the biggest problems where we get. So now my contribution for tonight. And I want to say thank you very much. I want to say, Ms. Fadima, my sincere condolences to you and your family for the loss of your auntie. Let God sorry for her. Let God give her a good road. Let God make her easy for now. Now my contribution tonight.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Shilon.
Yes, sir.
We get 30 more minutes for bring this program to a close. And a good opportunity there for address everything when people are always that as a matter of fact, your closing statement that address everything as I may say, and then that will form because by 10:30 follow the wrap up. So it's to you.
All right. May I start off with the gentleman we say we need for get the white people them for come back and rule we. Well, I can appreciate your understanding frustration because every now and then, well, for a young man like that, they for be so frustrated. And even, I believe, say he's a young man who may not have even seen the golden days of Sierra Leone that some of us were fortunate enough for born and meet and enjoy. Because if he knew what we have lost, as some of us do, he will be 10 times more upset than he's as upset as he is now. So in frustration is quite understandable, because you don't seem to understand why is it so difficult for we. This is a country, generally speaking, within the context of African intellect and IQ, Sierra Leoneans are rated very high. In fact, I think they rate we as #1, believe it or not, as having very high IQ, despite the fact that we don't get an extremely very high educated population. But again, it boils down to what is education. So we are not stupid people. So the problem we have, let me see, and this is what I would call a structural defect. The education what we get, the British did their best. They gave us a system as best as because sometimes we tend to think, oh, they were so clever, they see the future. No, they did the best they could. They try to give we a structure, they try to give we an educational system, they try to give we a governmental system, they try to give we a legal system, everything for make sure, say, when we take power, we'll be able to move forward. We have not demonstrated any of that. And not because we lack the intelligence, not because we lack the education. We have not gone forward only because we lack the foresight. Therefore, we now get the vision as to how to lead ourselves. This is why many other countries have surpassed us. You know, many other countries don't pass with because we just now get the leadership what we need. Because like Sierra Leone, there, for example, we get certain basic ideas that we need for change. You know, the way we think. I remember, let me just give an example. And because there was a time where we think, say, oh, the best education, British education. Well, the British education is fantastic, but it's not necessarily the best. We have the opportunity, we've been exposed to American education, Canadian education, German education, Chinese education. Can you imagine if we can pull all this together, we can get the best of all worlds? But we're not doing that. What we're doing, we're still prioritizing one system over another system, and we show this extraordinary reluctance for improve, you know? And this is what is killing us. So then, in this country, I'm sorry to say, in the United States, there are a significant number of Australians who talk and act as if they've never left Sierra Leone, ever. Then just then thought process, now for go back home, go into politics, you know, nobody, you know, hardly you hear anybody say where to go home, except the one that way to go home for retire. We don't retire now, because generally speaking, your retirement money will give you a better life, other than, well, not a better life, that very careful about how I put them. You dollar, you go stretch your dollar more if you retired back home, and it will do more for you than it will do for you in the United States. So a lot of us go back home, not to go into politics, a lot of us go back home in retirement, they build their homes there, and they to go there, they hire 2-3 months, they go back to Salone, because you dollar retirement money go do wonders for you in Australia. You know, that same amount of money they not go do for you in America. So some of us go back home, but the vast majority of us, we get contacts, who know people. I mean, who can really bring talents to the country. as a result of the years of having worked for certain companies or government, state government, city government, federal government. All these connections are going to waste because none of these people are being pulled into the system, with a few exceptions. And the ones who are being pulled into the systems are going straight into politics. When they go to Australia, they're a cabinet member, then a politician. Very few of them are being given positions who will make a difference. But so the young man way express frustration, I can understand that. But at the end of the day, practically speaking, that train did not left the station a long time ago. Which manner they come back can rule Salone. We future in our hands. So we get for realize that and begin hold we leaders them accountable. Some of the problems what we see, you see with brothers and they go back home, then they instigate them about them for go cause havoc. It's wrong. I even feel sorry for the Bobo who they cause the crime. Because if you put yourself in that place, then that the whole day, they no get employment, they now get antimot. So what else is there for them than to be misused? So when people then go and give them a little bit of money and say, go cause havoc here and there, they do that, And that is so unfair to these kids or these gentlemen or these guys who are thugs who go out there and they do the incident. It's not even fair to them. Because at the end of the day, they too have needs. There is nobody who just born and grow up, get future, get dream. But their dreams are going to waste because there is nothing for them. There is no job. So we therefore begin to take things seriously. With respect to what Ms. Abi said, she's right. The people there, we want for help, where they go back home, are being looked upon as competition. But even if that's the case, what's wrong with competition? Doesn't competition bring out the best in us? So why should people be afraid? Why should professionals be concerned about competition? Competition for what? For the best and the brightest? If so, who benefits? The eventual beneficiary is the people. Shouldn't that be the goal of all of us? Let the best people then prevail. Let the one that way not as good learn from the others. So why are we so fearful of competition? If that's the case, which it seems to be the case, the professionals are not open-minded. They are not receptive of other professionals. They are so protective of the so-called territory that they begin to think, and that thinking they spread out. So even the average Australians, I give a good example. When the NGC party was formed, bear in mind, I'm not a member of any political party. This is just by way of observation. And when NGC, towards the last election, the prevailing thought of the very people, Australian, the common people, where they receive support from most of Winaya, which is another topic, because sometimes I think people tend to forget if there was no America and there were not so many of us here, even the economy of Australia will be affected because the amount of remittances where a lot of us send back home to relatives and friends, so that they forget that they sustain a substantial part of the economy. Yet where NGC was formed, what does the ordinary man in the street say? Oh, we don't know what's going to happen now. Una there overseas. So NGC now overseas, now for una we there abroad. We were there now, we know what's going to happen. Well, the people are misinformed. They don't know what's happening. Everybody knows that. But this is what the common man believes. The very common man where they look up to the so-called overseas people for money, for send for them. At the same man, they say, NGC now oversee people at party, not for win. Well, I'm sorry to say, I have always taken the position, and I have a degree in political science and government. One of the biggest mistakes I think MPRC make, but again, not because they were not, I don't think they get the best of advice. They should have banned APC and SAPP. Those parties, now that would have been one of the best good they would have done for Sierra Leone. Because these two parties, it doesn't matter which one you belong to. They haven't done anything good for the country. And at the risk of venturing even the frustration, this young man said, I'm not even sure either of this party capable for lead that country there. Recently, I see a minister, we're going to the north, after the incident in Tumbo and Lonshar, which was an incident that was so deplorable, for go born chief compound, chief in Os, chief in Motuka, terrorize the place, or for go born police station. These are places of authority that ordinary people, they take upon themselves to go do. But yet, as despicable as them behavior than they, what happened? The minister for Northern Province, I saw a video, he goes there, and the language, you can't talk like that. The minister, they say, well, we'll go begin broke on a foot and shoot on our life cartridge, that would have mama and sorry for una. How can a minister talk like that? Now that's street talk. That's which is a talk, they say, for begin broke foot and shoot with life cartridge, that would have mama there. No, ministers should not talk like that. Even that quality of leadership, they need some kind of refinement, you know? So these are some of the things. A minister for be very measured in what he say. A minister not go advocate violence. A minister not for advocate the abuse of power by saying just because you get the army and the police and go begin shoot people then and broke them foot. That's not the minister. That's not the way a minister should be talking. And I think the president should be reining those people in and say, hey, look here. I mean, lower the tempo of what you say and be very measured. Even if not that you mean, not to everything what kind of your mind you forsake because of the position where you hold. You know? So these are some of the things that women think say are missing. You know, the young man talk about primary elections. That makes sense. You know, I mean, primaries might be, I mean, I think it's a smart idea. At least it needs, it's a good topic of discussions. Maybe we need to add primaries to a system. You know, when the white man, they rule the country, they divide we into 12 districts. Then divide we into Kono, Kailau, Keneman at the east, Bo, Moyamba, Pujeu, Bont at the south, Chonkolili, Bombali, Koinadugu, Putloko, and Cambia at the north. Okay, so because then we probably had a population of less than 1 million people or about 1 million people. But now the population may expand. They say we get 7 million. Maybe the districts need expansion. Maybe we don't need, I'm just saying maybe, we really can't think out of the box. Maybe we don't need, the districts are much too large because here they call them counties. But for example, if you take the Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone border by Koindu in the Eastern Province, all the way to Shegbema, that is about 80 miles or more for a district. Maybe that's too large because now the United States, I'm not sure if you could find any county that is 80 because the equivalent of a district Now America go big county, now the closest thing nowadays. But you may not find any country that is 80 miles long. Okay, maybe we need to revisit the partitioning here. Do we need more districts for convenience and effectiveness and efficiency of governing? We don't know. But if we just want for continue just do things the way we inherit them, we don't want to be creative, we don't want to come up with new stuff and practical stuff, that's not going to work for us. So these are some of the things that we need to be focused on. So again, the one there with PhD in political science, and believe me, we have plenty of them, and I know some who are very smart Salonians. Okay, how they one day way get degree in law, or all the people in there. It's about time we come and show ourselves and do something for the country. You're not going to expect the ordinary Joe Blow back home to say some of the things I'm saying, you know? So these are some of the things I am proposing that we with a land book, where we say we land book, we say we don't study in a foreign country. It's about time we put our money where our mouth is.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that lecture. Now, I want to give me your closing remarks now for today, having given us a very, very wonderful lecture today. As you see, it was more of a lecture today. Hopefully, okay, we'll take two. That will be the last calls I will take for tonight. Just two calls. I mean, let me see. One call, that will be the one or two more, whatever it is. That will be the last call for tonight. Plus, if you know they will be give me closing remark. Caller, who's the call from? What's your name, please? So if we don't get time, we of course, and also why go sum up for me. Give me your closing remarks.
Is there another caller or?
They give me closing remarks tonight.
Well, for me, in closing, what I would say is simple.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah. What's the call from?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I read what you say, right? Mr. Lawyer, again, you going to reply to the message. But what you try to say right here, Salone, for now, let me say 40 years. 40 years, Salone not get for better. Salone not get for council, you not get for worse. Now this politics business, there two parties at the end. The only two get for fen. No fen, different. They NGC, they other parties, they all are rubbish. They all are rubbish. We don't need the one in there. Let them look for new posts, they can rule our country there. Any outside come all the people in there be now, una young man or whatever. But all the parties in a Salone, NGC, Kamarimba party, they all are rubbish. They all are adopting them. They're not able to develop that country there. We for fair neutral ground, neutral person. When they not sabi, let make it party. Let all man support that person there. Let them pull all the parties in that country. If you not to that, Salone not go before. But because of, Salone people, they may not know thing at the end. If it's somebody commodity without nowhere to go stand under for let them vote for them, let them go vote back for these stupid parties here. Trust me. I'm telling you. People are sick. Salone people are sick. I'm glad the people they suffer because they're sick, they want to leave. Then two parties in there, what they fashion, and they go suffer till they die. I want them to suffer till they die. Trust me. Because they're not well. None of them are not well. Trust me, they're not well. Because if they're well, for true, waiting them two parties they do, all for themselves. 7,500,000 people are able to feed them. But all go together in Africa. Oh, black people, we country, we know the thing. We know the thing. Now rubbish paper. What they talk, me had the one, as to God.
No, cool down the temperature tonight.
I'm telling you, Salone people need thing. Thank you very much, brother. Thank you.
Thank you. Not to the last call. Go to the last call. Then that will be part of your closing. remarks as you wrap up, you see how you answer the question. Caller, this is going to be the last call for tonight. Caller, which name you say the call for, please?
It's not Mike. I come from Pennsylvania.
Boy, you're on the line.
Yeah, I just want to remind everybody, say, as Salone, I don't think they will get leader there, will get politician there. Because them politicians are lying and they lie for it and they lie all the time. Not of us say Salone, we're not educated. We're educated, we're very smart. But for somebody for come and tell you, say, now education is the push forward. You know, that's how you say, now lying and they lie for it. You know, no country, no day at the world will ever develop first with education. All the countries that will develop first and develop first through agriculture. You know, Salone, the lie and they make will not they develop. You know, they know they tell we the truth. The people that were the so-called people that will call themselves leader, and they lie for the ordinary people there. You know, and at that they need for stop. Anyone who they catch for lie like that type of lie, they need for take and go court because at the end you not prove yourself. You not prove what you want. You know, so now the lie now they need for stop. Because the lie, and then they call them for letting thief. When you begin lie, they thief. Now the thing and they. So now my own contribution, and I hope say that they reach out is so.
Thank you. A very good night to you. Thank you very much. Mr. Okay, like I say now, this will be the very last call. We're not going to take any more calling in for tonight. This will be the very, very last call for tonight. Call outside the call from which name, please?
Waiting.
Good evening or good morning, yeah.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah, you're on the line.
Yes, this is Janet Martha Musa. I just want to say thank you very much to Mr. Mohamed Shilon for taking the time out for being on the program. What I really want to say is that I would really like to forget Mr. Shilon again for can talk about the aging in press release, and so that people can go clearly understand some of the offenses will fall under within a fato where say if you interfere with police investigation and stuff like that, because like you said very clearly, in language very vague. But we would like to come back at some point just to educate the nation and to let them understand where all this is going. You know, I want to say thank you very much for the lengthy explanation, you know, and hope, of course, I learned a lot today myself, and hope to come again at some point for kind of explain, because I think to say the press release is very important, and just looking at the situation in Sierra Leone, who can be caught by that particular law when one put it in place. Again, thank you very much. Hope we will get you for come back time.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Shilon, can you wrap up?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, can you wrap up now?
The problem, well, you know, there is no problem without a solution. I can assure you. And like I tell the gentleman who I believe Sina be called before, it's not practical for even think other than a moment of frustration and expressing all that frustration there. The white man is not coming back to rule Africa. The Chinese man might come to rule Africa, but the trend that one day. It's a new form of colonization, but that's a different topic. But the white man is not coming back. Then they'll give you with destiny in our hands. And let's realize this. Sierra Leone, 45 years ago, was ahead of countries like United Arab Emirates, all then Dubai, then present day, Indonesia, Malaysia, who were ahead of these countries. So what happened to us? We are behind we are where we are because we now get leaders them with a vision. And that's all it takes. I give you a good example. In the 60s, when President Kennedy go France, he was so much in love with Paris he whispered at the ears of a Defense Secretary McNamara. He said, you know, that's why I go like Washington, D.C. for look like Paris. And when they came back to the United States, they start all kinds of reconstruction for achieve the president in wishes. President Kennedy was not an engineer, he was a lawyer. He said by the turn of the century, America will send a man to the moon. That was just a vision. He had no idea how that would have happened, but it happened. Leadership matters. Dream for your country. There are always smart people within that country who will back you up. If you say to Sierra Leone, as we are today, say the next Olympics, I want Salone to get 5 gold medals, you will be surprised how many gold medal talents. I'm not talking about Olympic medals. I'm not talking about bronze. I'm not talking about silver. Gold. Just the wishes of that president and the dreams and aspiration of that president for a country. You will be amazed how many people who will rise to the occasion. Every country has their own talents. Now, how you nurture them. If Jamaica, who are black people, small country, you know, with their ancestry in Africa, if they can go to the Olympics and compete at the same level with the United States, Russia, China, and win gold medals, Jamaica, if they can, I want Australians to tell me, why can't we? There's no reason. There are black people like they're a small country, they get to foot like Americans and other people, but they have elevated in thinking that they can do it. So we need inspirational leaders. This is what I think the country needs. We need leaders with vision. We don't need dictators. We need leaders. When we give you that power, you for no say it's a power that can destroy a nation, that can destroy a people, and use them wisely. And those kind of leadership, they're not to train them anywhere, not by accident a country to get them. And when you get that kind of a leader, they will for all and with one and move forward. So we have to keep trying and looking and criticizing and talking. And with all the confusion that take place in Sierra Leone, with all the burning and the looting and the this and that, Sierra Leoneans are no different from any other people around the world. Now the structure of government will get, they make things seem to be out of order. But the talent is there, the pool is there, the ability is there. We need leadership with a vision. That's all I got to say.
On that note, again, I want to apologize to all we listeners, fans, followers for the unfortunate incident that took place with the audio they out there, with the sincere promise it will happen again. And again, one express with condolence to Fadima because he lost a very dear person. And then we stand by at this difficult time with her, with the consoler. We pray God will stand by him and the rest of the family. Tomorrow, we let everybody observe 1 minute silence for all the health workers around. And by God power, next week, we'll come back. Mr. Salone, it's been a pleasure. Like you say, by God power, we'll try to craft another program again. We'll talk about the essence of a nation getting a very effective judicial system. We, like you talk, we don't want dictators. And the only way we will get dictators, we'll forget a good judicial system. So then kind of when they will rein in on the leaders them. And this now one way so will. In any case, it's been a pleasure having you, and I must tell you, the audience very satisfied with what you do. And we look forward again for seeing you soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Why do a website when you can create an app for your business for free? Yes, with TAV App Maker, you can make an app as easy as pie. It only takes a few minutes. Simply choose a design template you like, add the features you want, and once you are happy with the results, publish it to Google Play and Apple Store. So your clients can download your app. Go to TAVAppmaker.com and create your free app today.
The sick, fear has grieved the heart of each inhabitant over the virus. Thousands of lives have been lost. Graveyard is full of competent, talented figures. We are all lost. We don't know what to do to get the cure that see us through. Others are crying, see their children dying. But all is not lost. God, we put our trust in you. We are saying to you, COVID-19, you cannot defeat us. Heal the world, heal the world. Jehovah, we're losing too many souls. Heal the world, heal the world. Your love is getting out of control. Your love, save your people, save the world. Jehovah, Jehovah, save your people, save the world. Wash your hands regular, abstain from being a mingler. Accept isolation until there is solution. Avoid public gathering, let's keep it from spreading. Oh my people, let's take precautions. It's time to wage war against every virus or any outbreak affecting our lives. We are stronger with God, we are mightier, Yahweh. We are warriors and we always conquer. Heal the world, heal the world. Jehovah, we're losing too many souls. Heal the world, heal the world. Your love is getting out of control. Your love, save your people, save the world. Jehovah, Jehovah, save your people, save the world. The world's hurting, people are searching for hope, Baba, he left to you. Families they die, friends and loved ones them, the one they cry, Yahweh, he left to you. We are praying for solution, we are praying for redemption. It's time to be one like never before. Creating us your right spirit, restore to us the joy of your salvation. Heal the world,